Alright, so this is What If Benton was in Young Justice Part 4. Now, this is Part 4 straight after a video after Part 3. And I've done What Ifs I've done sequel to What Ifs, like parts to What Ifs originally over and over, like twice in a row, but basically guys, I ain't mad about this one because I love doing these Young Justice What Ifs. So yeah, let's get into it, guys. And also, after this video, I will be still doing the list of what ifs I made in my Danny Phantom video at the beginning, and I also will be making after the what if Deku was in Harry Potter, and also what if Irma had the omnitrix part 2. I will be uploading my hero what ifs again frequently, but also I'll be still uploading Young Justice what ifs, but not as frequently. But yeah, so basically, let's start. So we started with episode 9, season 2, with basically McGann still being captured, and McGann also asking a question as he was insulting, Aqualad on how he betrayed his team and how he looked up to him. He said, "Where has Ben?" Now Aqualad said he escaped, but you're not going to. Now basically, they, tranquilize Logan and they lock him up. Now basically, Aqualad and Black Manta have their little conversation, and we get back to a jet. And basically, Aqualad talks to, or Aqualad has a whole sort of conversation with the villains he's with, and basically, the Tigress girl, whatever, that's posing as Tigress girl that is secretly pretty much, Artemis. But we get switched off there and we get switched to Impulse, Ben, and Blue Beetle. Now basically, or, Jaimez. Now basically, originally, Impulse was the only one that was supposed to go over to, Blue Beetle's house and have some fun. But he actually called up Ben because Ben gave his number to multiple people in the team. And basically, pretty much Impulse called up Ben to, come over and let's have some, boys fun or, some training stuff with, Blue Beetle. Now, basically, Ben said, yeah. And basically, at this point, when Ben got that phone call, he was just on his bed watching Sumo Slammers. Something like this. So basically, Ben got up and put on his Omniverse jacket and just with blue jeans. Ben would have been wearing something like this and basically would have gone, with Impulse in this outfit, but not in his, hero costume. Now basically, Impulse and Ben showed up at Jaime's front door asking him, do you want to go out? Do you want to, hang out? Basically, them asking Jaime. Jaime says, are you stupid? You might risk, giving away my secret identity ID. And basically, the Scarab talks to Jaime, saying that Impulse and Ben are in trouble, or are trouble. You should destroy them. Now, basically, the Scarab also says that Ben's very hard, and he might not be easy to destroy, but we can try. Now, basically, Jaime says to shut up, and basically, Impulse says, wait, really, bro? I didn't know we were that, not friends. Basically, I'm saying, I don't mean it like that, but just, Jaime gets out the door and says, let's just go out, let's just get out of here before someone spots us. Now, basically, Impulse runs off and Ben transforms into his Kryptonian form and flies off next to Blue Beetle. Now, we get switched on to basically Bumblebee and Mal pretty much crossing paths at Bumblebee's college or something. Now, basically, we can switch back to the Black Lagoon or Megan or McGon's story, or McGon's part of the, his capture. Now, basically, everything happens like in canon. Now, basically, they're friends, and we switch on to the desert where Blue Beetle and Impulse and Ben are toying around. Basically, and Blue Beetle pretty much tricks out saying, check out this one, using some sort of sound wave to pretty much destroy a rock. Ben saying, try this, and basically flies up in the air, tells everybody to move, and basically makes pretty much the omnitrix symbol with his wrist on it, or his wrist and the omnitrix symbol on it from afar, not where the same area, Impulse made a statue. Now, basically, Ben flies up, and Impulse says, I'll show you something better, and basically runs around and shows his, pretty much Impulse, sculpture out of rocks. Now, first, Blue Beetle and Ben asks, what did you exactly create? But he says, pump the attitude and get some altitude. Now, Ben flies up, and Blue Beetle does as well, and they look down, and they see that he's made a pretty much a picture of him in the same pose as classic, spread out pose, and basically, well, he's kind of impressive. Now, Ben tells Blue Beetle that's kind of impressive, and basically, but out of nowhere, some sort of villain or woman pretty much crashes down on pretty much Blue Beetle, sending him down to the ground. Impulse says, what the and pretty much Ben starts looking around with his x-ray vision trying to find where is the problem or the threat. Now basically the rest of the pretty much villains show up, capturing Impulse. Multiple of the villains or two of the pretty much sister-brother duo basically try to pretty much keep down or restrain Blue Beetle. Now pretty much Friezo or whatever Alkalad try to take down Ben. Ben being in Kryptonian form and being as strong as Superman, basically him just kicking around the rest of the team, the rest of the villains like nothing. Now, out of nowhere, Alkalad takes out a green shard or something and throws it at Ben. Ben grabs it and says, what the heck? I'm as strong as Superman right now. And sees his hand turn green or the veins in his hand turn green. He drops it and he sees that he threw where he catch, kryptonite. He falls into the ground, and then he starts shaking. Now, basically, Ben detransforms to his human form and gets knocked cold out by Aqualad. After Ben is taken out, pretty much the Freeze villain tries to freeze Blue Beetle solid. Now, Impulse escapes from the net he was caught in by phasing through it, and pretty much Blue Beetle breaks the ice that he was in with some sort of sound gun. Now, Ben slowly goes back into, snaps back into, reality after him being knocked out. Now, basically, Impulse runs around pretty much talking to Aqualad and grabbing the thing, the tracker from Aqualad's hands, saying, and running back to Blue Beetle, and also on the way back, he grabbed Ben by the leg, dragging him, and pretty much he said, he can't follow us now, let's go, throwing them in Blue Beetle's hand. Blue Beetle flies off with Ben, pretty much Carol style, and for bridal style, and basically Impulse follows after or flies off. Oh no, runs off. So the team is left there beaten up and all sorts of other stuff. After that event, Blue Beetle, Impulse, and Ben show up. Basically, the computer saying all their names. Ben 261, and basically they get into the pretty much room. They show up Mount Justice through the boom tube. Now, basically, they walk in there. Basically, Ben being back in commission. Basically, him jumping out of Blue Beetle's arms, saying, "You don't have to carry me anymore. I told you 10 minutes ago that I was back and I didn't need your help." Blue Beetle said, "I didn't think you would need our help, but I wanted to carry you because, well, you got knocked the freak out." Binging angry, saying, "I didn't get knocked out. I just played a tactical retreat and went to sleep." Basically, they show up there and pretty much Impulse says, "Cool souvenir, huh? We left those guys in the dust." But out of nowhere, Nightwing says, who you left in the dust?" Now, basically, they explain about pretty much Icicle, Aqualad, a couple other villains tracked us down and trying to take us out. And basically, Ben also tells Robin or Nightwing that they had kryptonite for some reason. Now, basically, Nightwing said they probably knew you were going to be with them. They probably wanted to take precautions so you could transform into any alien. Basically, Aqualad and the rest of the team, we get switched back to Aqualad's villain team, and basically he says that the first one was a Trojan horse, and when Impulse brought it into the cave, it took down all its defense mechanisms and pretty much everything that would protect the cave, with villains and stuff, to nothing, and the cave is ours. Now, basically, Alkalad and the rest of his team infiltrate into the water area, or the water area underneath the cave. We get switched off of Aqualad infiltrating the base, and basically we get switched back to McGann, and in the basically some sort of area with dark lights and red lights. McGann wakes up and looks around, seeing multiple other people in the same pods like him. He sees teenagers, former villains, and all sorts of other people. It gets switched back to Bumblebee and Mark or Mick. I don't know their names. I forgot, his name. But basically, nothing really changed there. We get switched back to Mount Justice, where the rest of the villains are in pretty much Mount Justice. And Wolf, or Superboy's dog or whatever, pretty much wakes up hearing somebody or one of the events open up. Technically not really hearing anything, just sniffing out something. He hears that it's nothing and basically goes back to sleep. But when some sort of pretty much stranger puts some sort of collar or shock collar, I don't know, around his neck, and that being undercover Artemis. Now Artemis walks off. We get switched to Beast Boy in his room, pretty much surrounded by toys, game consoles, and all sorts of other stuff. Him watching Megan or something like that. So basically, he looks around and he sees that someone's at his door, and he opens it up. No real, knowledge of who's behind it. The door is open, and one of the villains pretty much go for a punch and knock the dust out of Beast Boy, and down into the memorial section or the hologram section of the cave. Basically, Superboy is watching Artemis's statue or her hologram, pretty much, being very angry at her death and how Aqualad killed her. But out of nowhere, he hears a blast, and Icicle shoots at him when another villain tackles him down, trying to take him out. Now, out of nowhere, one of the villains pretty much put a collar around Superboy's neck, basically making him go back to not having super strength. Basically, him going down to the ground and being taken down by the villain, and Icicle smirking. Basically, Icicle and one of the villains try to take out pretty much Superboy, or trying to take him, down permanently. Basically getting stopped by Aqualad. Aqualad saying, I need Superboy alive for now, but you'll get your chance. Now we switch back to basically Robin analyzing that piece of alien technology they brought into the cave, and him saying how I'm so stupid, getting out his batons, looking behind him, seeing that Superboy is thrown like a rag doll at him, taking him out, or pretty much occupying him. One of the villains started to go around fighting. Now, Icicle shoots a beam of ice towards pretty much Kid Flash, and basically Ben runs out the way, or jumps out the way, not being transformed yet. Basically, Impulse running around, taking down Icicle, and Impulse yelling at Ben to do something and transform. Basically, Impulse seeing the other villain and running towards him, basically trying to take him out. Now he runs into the female version, the female sister of the, pretty much villain, and basically gets knocked back. Now he gets grabbed by one of the villains and puts a collar on him, and basically he tries to bite right through it, seeing that he has no speed and seeing that I'm totally moted eye. And him getting punched though, freak out, and basically been getting up from, the jump, and basically out of nowhere, Blue Beetle uses his sound beam or his sound blast at one of the villains that, knocked out. Impulse basically taking him down or trying to take him out. Now Ben transforms into a new alien, Vampire, and falls onto the ground, being really confused on what he could do now. But he gets back up on the ground and starts jumping up, flying around, and basically starts flying around, and eventually comes around and pretty much starts fighting the other villains, grabbing Impulse and trying to get the collar off of him. Now he uses all of his strength trying to get it off of him, when one of the villains coming towards him, and he shoots some sort of projectile out of his mouth, putting it on the villain's head and controlling them. He tells the villain to go to sleep, and the villain falls to the ground. Now pretty much Aqualad pretty much tells everybody to stand down after pretty much Nightwing is pretty much put a collar on him getting tased down. Now basically, Aqualad pretty much tells everybody that he has a dead man switch and shows them a bomb that was the same bomb that destroyed Malign Island. That basically Ben looks around and basically tells them to stand down or your friends will die alongside you. Now basically, Blue Beetle The Scarab tells Blue Beetle that I calculate that we can survive the blast, and basically Blue Beetle says, I don't think Ben can survive the blast. And the Scarab says with Ben's transformations, he can survive it if he transforms into the right creature. So basically, they they take under hostage, and basically the Scarab says we need to get out of here, and we can't be taken hostage. Make Ben transform into something that could save all of us, or all of the team members that can't survive, and let's blow this place to the ground. Now, basically, pretty much, what was it? Jaime says Ben isn't that strong to save everybody. We need to surrender or stand down. Now, basically, Blue Beetle tells Ben to stand down, and Ben says, "What do you mean?" Pretty much, Ben said, Jaime says, "We gotta stand down, Ben." Ben de-transforms, saying whatever. Basically, they put a collar around Ben's neck, and also some sort of collar around Ben's arm, around the omnitrix, keeping it pretty much locked up so he can't touch it. Yeah, basically, they take both of them in, and pretty much Aqualad leaves Superboy and pretty much Nightwing here because our partner doesn't want anything to do with them because they're of no value. Nightwing is a normal man, and well, Superboy's a Kryptonian human hybrid. Nothing to interest the rest of our partner. They walk off and they leave the rest of the team there, basically taking Beast Boy, Ben, Blue Beetle, and the rest of the team. Now, basically, Ben and Blue Beetle are the most valuable, valuable technology or things that the Hive wants the most. So, yeah. Basically, their plan is to try to pretty much merge the Omnitrix's DNA or its abilities into the Scarab, making the Scarab the most powerful, literally the most powerful thing in the whole entire time in existence itself. Now, basically, Aqualad tells pretty much Nightwing to stay here because the Dead Man Switch has a 5-mile radius and to not, follow or pursue us. They leave. Basically, Hymas and the rest of the team are being pretty much put into the ship. But when Hymas is told by the Scarab that we need to get out of here, basically he talks to Hymas, and eventually Scarab says to leave me no choice. I'm taking over, and pretty much takes over Hymas. Hymas starts taking out all the villains and kicks down or blasts Aqualad. Aqualad drops the Dead Man Switch, and Jaime says no, looking towards the cave, seeing that nothing has happening. So basically, he says, he was wrong. He lied. There was a dud. Basically, him running over to Aqualad, saying, get him. Basically, him getting tased to the chest by Aqualad, enough for Blue Beetle to stand down and fall to the ground. Basically, bring him aboard, and they bring Blue Beetle onto the ship with Beast Boy, Impulse, Blue Beetle, and Ben. Everybody's in the ship flying away from pretty much Mount Justice. Basically, Aqualad tells undercover Artemis to do it, and basically she says, are you sure? And he says yes. And they pretty much take the actual detonator and blow up the pretty much base. And they blow up Mount Justice and it's destroyed. So basically, Ben looks up and says, what the heck, bro? I had limited edition Summer Slammers stuff in the cave, bro. Like, what the? And basically, Aqualad says, shut up. And basically, Ben says, make me. And Ben, after that, gets the dust out of his face by Icicle. Now, basically, after that, doing after the explosion go up, basically, Superboy, Nightwing, and Wolf, and also basically Mark or Bumblebee's boyfriend saves them from basically them, almost drowning on the ship. The ship sinks, but basically Superboy says it'll come back, and basically they swim back to shore. Now, pretty much we switch back to the Hall of Justice when basically basically Speedy shows up, or Kid Flash, Wally shows up and starts arguing with Robin, saying, are you sure Aqualad isn't playing both of us? Are you sure he isn't a triple agent? Now, basically, Nightwing is kind of speculative about this, and is actually thinking about maybe Aqualad is betraying us. Now, pretty much we switch back to Aqualad and the rest of his villain group. Basically, Aqualad being joined into the light while everybody else is picking up the pods and sent off into the rest of the area or the hive. Now we get switched to the team, the main area, in episode 10. So we're going to be switching out to episode 10 of season 2, and before the draw, and let's get into it. Basically, we start off at the episode with a flashback of pretty much Blue Beetle, or Jaime's, the first time he came across the Blue Beetle Scarab. Jaime wakes up from his dream of the flashback, the first time he got the Scarab, and he asks, where is he? The Scarab pretty much tells him about the whole entire thing, how he let himself get captured by Aqualad, and they're in the pod now. Basically, Blue Beetle, Jaime says, let's, gear up, but basically the Scarab saying negative. The pod has, neutralized any and all of the defense protocols of the suit or the Scarab. Now, basically, the Scarab says, "I'll give translation to you for the aliens that are talking." Now, basically, the aliens talk about how they're going to try to see why the Scarab's memory files have been corrupted. Now, basically, Black Beetle shows up and says the same type of solution, but also asks about the omnitrix, the boy with the wrist of the most powerful thing in the universe. Well, basically, the Hive does know a little bit about the omnitrix. Now, the Hive does know about Galvin Prime and all sorts of stuff, but they aren't as smart as Azimuth. Basically, Azimuth's planet did have a slight war with the Hive at one point, and the Hive was actually after the omnitrix, and they were told only the bare minimum, that the omnitrix allows its user to transform into any alien creature ever, as long as it has DNA that can be scanned. Now, basically, pretty much they saw after the omnitrix, and also wanted to see if the omnitrix could be merged with the Scarab, to see if the Scarab had the abilities that it has now, plus the multitudes of alien pretty much abilities and powers mixed with the Scarab, it would be a god-killing Scarab, a Scarab mixed with the power of the omnitrix. It'd be the most powerful thing in the universe, and anybody that wielded that thing would be technically near what a god. Now, pretty much Jaime hears all of this, but he gets worried for himself and also especially for Ben, since he does know that the Scarab did tell Jaime and Ben did tell the team that the omnitrix can't come off, and the only way to take it off is if Ben wants it off, or if somebody cuts his arm off, or just cuts the skin from his wrist, or should have just takes off his whole arm, or just kills him. So basically, there's no real way to take off the omnitrix against Ben's will safely or quickly. It has to be painful, like cutting off his arms, stuff like that, like how Vilgax is going to give the omnitrix. Now, so basically after that, Aqualad and the Hive Master talk about basically the metagene and about the test subjects that they're having, and also about the omnitrix and the Scarab. Not telling them about the whole entire thing, their plan about how to merge both technologies and to make the most powerful item in the universe, but just trying to, tell him about, the Omnitrix user, Ben Tennyson, and also the, pretty much, Jaimes Reyes, or the Blue Beetle Scarab, are very, very, very powerful, technology users. Now, basically, most of the Hive is actually working on Ben in a separate pod, but they put back Ben back in the pod when they have no progress on even slightly denting or taking off or even slightly loosening the omnitrix. Now, basically, Ben is still in the pod next to, I think, Impulse, and now basically Aqualad is shown pretty much how they're torturing pretty much what was it? How they're torturing Beast Boy and Impulse, saying that talking about the metagene and also the other things. Basically, testing how the metagene, reacts. Testing on Beast Boy and Impulse. Now, basically, before the conversation between the head master of pretty much the hive and Alcalad asked, you know, where is, Jaimez or the blue beetle? Now, basically, he says Jaimez may be human, but he's still of the race. And for Ben Tennyson, his technology is very, 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 very crucial to our experiment. Now, basically, he walks off, and Alcalad is, well, deterred or pretty much confused. Now, after the intro, the fire intro, basically, we just switched on to Robin, Bumblebee, and I think Wonder Girl, basically spying on undercover Artemis and pretty much the hive, taking teenagers and putting them in pods to experiment them with the metagene. Now, basically, so basically, Batgirl, Bumblebee, and Robin basically infiltrate or pretty much pose themselves as normal teenagers to be put in the pods and be taken to the hive base. Now we get switched on. Basically, we get switched to the rest of the team, or like pretty much Nightwing, Wonder Girl, and basically Megan, basically tracking down the rest of the team, saying that they're leading us to the rest of the team. Ben, Beast Boy, and pretty much Magon. Now, basically, we talk the same way, but Wonder Girl asking, how is Ben going to really engage with this? Now, basically, Ben, pretty much, Wonder Girl is actually going to be shipped with Ben, so I'm going to be doing that. I was originally going to do, like, Centauro ship, but I'm probably going to do Wonder Girl ship, maybe Centauro, but I don't know. Now we get switched on to basically Jaimez waking up from a flashback when he was, a kid before he got the scarab. Basically, him waking up, seeing the pretty much hive, master or whatever, pretty much. Basically, the scarab leader, or not the scarab leader, the scarab doctor or whatever, scientist, talks about how they have to reboot the scarab and they then have to find a new host. Pretty much talking the same way, but also them say, has there been any progress with the Ben Tennyson getting the omnitrix off of him? Basically, Black Beetle says no, but I'm guessing we just cut it off. But basically, he says no, it might have effects on the human host or the host that wears the omnitrix. If we cut it off, it might self-destruct. We don't know it physiologically or its technology yet. Originally scared, Black Beetle says whatever and walks off. So basically, we just switch back to pretty much Nightwing and Wonder Girl and Megan. And basically, they find the ship, and basically, Aqualad tells Megan that you're up. Megan transforms, gills up, and shrinks for some reason to go into the ship and phase into it. We can switch back to Batgirl and Robin, basically telling them about where they are and how the ship or how the hive is working. Now, basically, we can switch to Ben's perspective, and Ben is looking around. Now, at this point, the thing around Ben's wrist basically was taken off, and the pod basically was doing a certain, like, pretty much it has some sort of technology in the pod that was more enhanced than everyone else's pod. Basically, using so many types of, multiple different types of pretty much alien technology, impressive stuff. Basically, this pod had a green light instead of a red light because they used Galvan technology to basically a Galvan type of MVP that basically, not really turn off Galvan technology, but to pretty much make it weak enough so it can't be really used functionally. So basically, they thought that Ben couldn't transform. And Ben looked at the Omnitrix, saying that it was in commission, but Precedent saying that I'm saying that it was in randomizing mode, meaning that any alien Ben transformed into, it'll be super randomized and he'll be in that transformation for only 10 minutes. So the Omnitrix was sent back to the 10-minute timer, and it was randomized. So Ben tweaked with it and put it back on, the energy conserver, and basically still couldn't, reverse it back to, accuracy, and it was still on randomizer, like the omnitrix. Now Ben is right next to Jaime, so Ben tries to talk to Jaime, but can't get anything through the pods. Now basically, Ben tries to transform, but seeing that the Omnitrix is still conserving power, because the Omnitrix uses a lot of power to keep away the hive from you pretty much unlocking anything in the Omnitrix. But the Omnitrix did let a little bit of a firewall open, so they were able to switch it over to randomizing mode. But they didn't know that because they knew nothing about the Omnitrix's, internal technology. So basically, when pretty much everybody is set up in the pods and McGann gets into the pod room, she releases Beast Boy and Impulse by breaking the pods. Now basically, Batgirl and basically Batgirl and Robin look around, seeing that Shemp Glimmer and also a couple other civilians and teenagers that we picked up, that we came in with, the rest of the teenagers at the docks. They're here. Basically, Beast Boy and Impulse are still, released. And they wake up soon after. McGann helps up Beast Boy and tells him, "Are you okay?" Now, basically, when the alarms go off or whatever, basically, after Impulse pretty much leaves the team and shoot a face to the wall trying to find Blue Beetle, say, "Can't wait, gotta find Blue Beetle and Ben," pretty much he runs off and faces to the wall, basically looking for Ben and Blue Beetle. Now, alarm goes off. Basically, Boy is undercover as one of the pretty much henchmen or soldiers, and basically takes out Artemis, or undercover Artemis, grabbing her and throwing her into the ground and taking all the rest of the guards out with his super strength. After that, the rest of the teenagers were released and set free basically by Blue Beetle, Robin, and pretty much Batgirl. Basically, as the teenagers are leaving, McGann runs into basically a black Aqualad as she's looking for Impulse alongside pretty much Beast Boy. Now, when Superboy notices McGann's not with him, he tries to go out, but he gets stopped and it gets pretty much slapped back into the area where he was about to leave. And basically, Black Beetle shows up and says, "Sorry, I can't let you do that." Basically, multiple people are trapped into a room with Black Beetle. And basically, one girl says, "Listen, Black Beetle, your reign of terror is over. And also, you're totally outnumbered." So basically, everybody else is in the room, aka Future, Static Shock is in the room as well. And pretty much you just know that he's Static Shock. Look at his outfit, bro. He's wearing a yellow and black jacket, and blue outfit, and jeans. Bro, he looks like Static Shock. But basically, enough of that. So basically, one girl says, "If you let us out, we may go easy on you." And the Black Beetle starts laughing, maniacally saying, "You go easy on me." Pretty much laughing his butt off. Pretty much Blue Beetle saying that's not a good. Bumblebee saying that's not a good, sign. So basically we switch back to Impulse, going to room, facing in each door, looking for Ben and Blue Beetle. Now, at one point, Impulse does find Ben and Blue Beetle, basically knocks out the scientist that's experimenting on both of them, and basically releases Ben and Blue Beetle. Basically, we switch back to McGann, basically looking through all the memories and all the pretty much memories, thoughts, and everything about pretty much as she's attacking, or like when she's wiping the memories, or like straight up just kicking all of the brain cells, or just destroying Aqualad's mind. Basically, Artemis shows up and says, "What have you done, Megan?" Megan's saying, I thought he deserved it." Now, basically, Beast Boy transforms into a tiger, trying to get pretty much undercover Artemis, and also pretty much Aqualad, but pretty much undercover Artemis still being undercover for, pretty much Gar's sake. Basically, her saying, "I'll get you later. You take yours, I'll take mine. You're lucky." Pretty much her walking off with pretty much Aqualad after a smoke bomb is thrown. Now, basically, we switch back to the rest of the team, in the room with Black Beetle, fighting him. Basically, they're fighting Black Beetle, and they're losing. Like, they really are just losing. They're getting socked in the jaw, getting punched, kicked, blasted down. Pretty much, the teenagers that are trapped in the room with them, like the future Stack Shot kid and everybody else, they're fighting Black Beetle, but they're not winning. Try to grab a blaster as the team's losing and basically try to blast down or shoot pretty much Black Beetle, but gets kicked out or kicked down by Mirage, I think. But the villain basically says or nods, knowing that she's, having Black Beetle's back. Basically, Black Beetle nodding to her, smirking. Pretty much, Black Beetle going back into fighting, and us getting switched back to the future, the apocalyptic future, where pretty much impulses came from. Basically, Blue Beetle is shown as the apocalyptic, pretty much the biggest bad in the world in the apocalypse of pretty much Impulse's future. Now, pretty much Impulse tells him, or tells pretty much Blue Beetle this, as Ben is limping, or pretty much he hasn't been experimenting hard enough. So basically, Ben was still able to was still able to walk. Now, Ben was wearing pretty much this type of outfit with bruises on him and cuts, and also his omnitrix was free, not having that on and not having any bandages on, just having scars and cuts and stuff like that. So basically, Ben and the rest of the team try to get out, or the rest of the group try to get out. Impulse asking Ben, "Are you okay?" Ben saying, "Yeah, I'm good." But did you tell him? Pretty much, Blue Beetle tells Impulse about how they're trying to merge the Omnitrix with Blue Beetle. Now, basically, pretty much, Impulse says about that. Basically, let's get flashback back into the future. Basically, getting shown that the new Blue Beetle, had a blue version of the Omnitrix logo on his chest, and he was twice as big as he was originally. So, basically, in the future, they do succeed into pretty much making Blue Beetle's Scarab merge with the Omnitrix. And basically, Ben says that's impossible. The Omnitrix is way advanced, and it's way more advanced than, Hive technology. And basically, Impulse says, "I know, but they found a way in the future, and they succeeded." Now, basically, Ben says they're not going to succeed since we know the future now. Now, basically, we just switch back to Megan and Beast Boy going over to the docking bay, trying to open up the doors. Now, we get switched back to Aqualad with the rest of the teenagers trying to open up the doors into the main room, where pretty much the rest of the team are fighting Black Beetle. Now, as Megan's facing into the door, pretty much Black Beetle sees this and shifts the density of the wall, pretty much shifting the density of the wall, basically making Megan, basically, pass out. Now, basically, after the rest of the team is knocked out, or nearly about to get knocked out, or is nearly, out, or like taken out, basically the doors open, and Black Beetle looks and sees that Impulse, Ben, Blue Beetle, and Beast Boy go through the doors, and Blue Beetle opening all the doors, letting pretty much the black kid or one of the teenagers leave. Now, basically, Black Beetle looks at Blue Beetle and looks at Ben, and Ben goes for the Omnitrix, and Blue Beetle looks at Ben and says, "Let's do this." Now, pretty much, Ben starts to see pretty much Blue Beetle wobble around, seeing that Blue Beetle isn't in good shape. He's about to walk over to Blue Beetle, but the Scarab talks to Jaime, saying that you're not in good shape and let me take over. And basically, Blue Beetle accepts pretty much either be controlled or to give up full control towards Blue Beetle. Basically, as Blue Beetle's fighting Black Beetle, basically the rest of the team get towards the ship, and seeing that the pretty much base is being flooded by pretty much Mirage showing some sort of ability, making a hole into the ship. Basically, they start to get flooded, and Impulse says, and pretty much he asks where, is Blue Beetle, and Ben, Impulse does go back for them, and basically gets blasted by a wave of water. Now basically, they start to fight. Basically, telling Nightwing to, seal the hatch shut. Basically, um, Blue Beetle, and pretty much Beast Boy saying, "What about Ben and Blue?" Basically, Batgirl saying, "We can't help him from drowned, or you get crushed by the water pressure." They seal the hatch shut and they fly off. Now, Blue Beetle and Black Beetle are fighting back to back when Ben transforms into a new alien, a better alien, the strongest alien he has, Alien X. So basically, Ben is just there, standing. As Blue Beetle and Black Beetle are fighting back to back, pretty much Hymus tells Ben, "What are you doing? Fight!" Pretty much them trying to fight. Now, pretty much neither of the Hive or the Black Beetles, or like the Beetles, know about, the pretty much, what was it? Basically, the Alien X. Now, basically, Ben has transformed into Alien X. He has, because Alien X is an alien force creature. Basically, Ben not having the pretty much power as Omniverse Alien X. Basically, Ben asking and having a conversation for about a good amount of time with the pretty much different personalities. Now, eventually comes to a conclusion saying that I need your power, or else the whole universe is going to go in the smithereens. Pretty much the Celestials tell them about how basically if the Scarabs are merged with the Omnitrix, it will basically make the Omnitrix the strongest item in the whole entire universe, stronger than the Omnitrix and the Scarab, making them so powerful they can even possibly destroy the Celestial race. Now, basically, the Celestials look at this at a very big, very, very big, pretty much problem, and give Ben full control over Alien X for a limited amount of time, for about a couple years. Now, basically, Ben accepts, and Ben is snapped back in reality. At this point, Blue Beetle and Black Beetle are just fighting back to back. Now, Ben flies up into the air, holds out his hands, and say, "Stop." And basically, all the water, all of time itself just stops. All around the whole entire dimensions, universe, and everything. Everything, the millennia away from Deku, Ben, are stopped in time completely. Not slowed down, completely stopped in time. Ben grabs Blue Beetle and teleports into the ship, and basically the rest of the team are confused, looking at the black figure that's holding pretty much James. James watching the ground and says, "What was that? You did something incredible." Basically, Ben looking at him and de transforming. Basically, the rest of the team is confused, and basically Ben passes out by the amount of energy or power that he used. Him not really wanting to stop time all around the whole entire existence, but wanted to stop time just on the ship. But pretty much Ben didn't know the full extent and the whole power of the pretty much Celestial Sapien, because Celestial Sapiens are literal gods in the Benton universe and also gods in this universe. Basically, in this universe, the DC universe, Celestial Sapiens are as strong as, basically stronger than New Gods or Darkseid by a huge landslide. Now, basically, Ben is still a randomizer, so basically Ben, it passes out. Now, Ben passes out, and the rest of the team go back to wherever and pretty much say the teenagers. Now, basically, Alkalat Nightwing says, "A good mission, everybody. Perfect." Basically, Ben also be waking up next to pretty much Blue Beetle. Basically, Impulse saying, "Are you guys okay?" Pretty much Blue Beetle saying, "It's me." Impulse saying, "Of course it is." And basically asking Ben, "What was that whole tiny transformation?" Now, basically, Scarab also, Jaime also asked that as well, because he saw glimpses of it as he was getting saved. Now, basically, Ben explains that it's an alien I had a couple years back. It's a Celestial Sapien. Now, basically, McGann says, "Celestial Sapien?" McGann says, "A solid creature you transformed to it. I didn't think it would be a Celestial Sapien." Pretty much Megan knows about Celestial Sapiens and how they're incredibly strong creatures, and they're technically type of gods to the real world, and they can create and destroy, well, virtually everything and anything. Now, basically, Ben says, "Yeah, but I struck a deal with the two personalities that were in the minds of Alien X, and I struck a deal to have full control after his abilities for years, or for a couple of years at least." Now, basically, they are very shocked that you have the power of a god in your hands. Ben says not truly, not correctly though. I'm still a randomizer function. So I still, I transform randomly. So I can't, pick my transformations now. Only until I find Azimuth, or Azimuth helps me out with the omnitrix again. Now basically, they go on to we go on to the watchtower. Basically, at G Gordon at the watchtower watching this, pretty much the Reach, not the Hive. The Reach actually pretty much tried to get alliance with the president, the U.S. nation, pretty much trying to give them technology and stuff to support their species. Now, pretty much G Gordon sees this as an opportunity and pretty much uses it about it just the same. Now, basically, after that, episode Episode 10, Season 2, is over. Now I'll be continuing with Episode 11 and 12 next part 5. And see you guys later. As always, guys, have a blessed day. And as always, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like and subscribe. And please, guys, if you have any people or friends that like what ifs, send them my way. Because I need to get my views up, my eyes. So see you guys later. Bye. And deuces.